Welcome to the Your Health Podcast, where we explore the programs, people, and practices helping individuals and communities live stronger, safer, healthier lives. I'm your host, Greg Allen. Today we're diving into a program that's making a big difference, especially for older adults. It's called A Matter of Balance. This nationally recognized evidence-based program helps participants reduce their fear of falling, build confidence, stay active, and maintain independence. So whether you're a caregiver, a professional in health and wellness, or someone who wants to age with strength and stability, this conversation will give you practical tools and insights that you can use right away. Joining us today is Kelsie Jo Muller, Human Development and Family Science Extension Specialist. She is here to help us understand why balance isn't just a physical skill, but a foundation for healthy living. So let's jump right in. Hi, Kelsie Jo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to share more about our fall prevention program with Purdue Extension.
So for listeners who may not be familiar with it, what exactly is a Matter of Balance program?
Yeah, so it is primarily a fall prevention program for older adults. So we're hoping to strengthen their physical abilities to balance better, strengthen some maybe lower body weakness that they might have. But we also do a lot of discussion around the fear of falling. So there's a lot of research that shows when people have maybe experienced a fall or they know someone who has experienced a fall, then they develop this fear that they might fall or fall again. And when that happens, then folks tend to limit their activity even more. And then, as you can probably imagine, that just increases their risk for falling even more because they've been less active. And so that physical strength is declining as well. So the program really focuses on that concern about falls too. So we do a lot of discussion, and there's much of that is cognitive restructuring and rethinking about that fear and discussing and working through those issues or concerns.
I think we all remember the old commercials for Life Alert with the lady that falls down and says, "I've fallen and I can't get up." But why is fall prevention such a critical issue, especially for older adults?
Yeah, so actually, most older adults, if they have a fall, they will have that fall in their home. So that's one fact. And also, when they have that fall, typically that's kind of the possibly first step into having an injury that then therefore lowers their quality of life. And sometimes then that can develop into other health concerns. So not to say that if you have a fall and you have an injury, you're doomed, but yeah, it is really real. And so if we can prevent them from happening in the first place, that's our number one goal.
I think, too, the older you get, the less likely you are to bounce back. I just turned 56, and on my 56th birthday, I was shoveling snow off my back porch, and whoop, I slipped on ice and right onto my back, and knocked the wind out of me. And at first I was thinking, that's it. I'm going to be couch ridden for the rest of my life. And luckily I was kind of sore for a couple days, but I'm fine now. But I tell you, it is, the older you get, the scarier it is.
Yeah, and it is a real concern. And during the 8 sessions that we meet with one another throughout the program, so typically the classes are possibly once a week or twice a week for 8 or 4 weeks. And so over that period of time, there's a lot of building, in that discussion of, okay, these are my concerns. This is my environment that I have, and what can I do to make it better? Or what can I do to be more confident in myself, to get around better, to stay motivated, to keep moving, to keep doing things, not limit that physical activity as much.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of problem solving, a lot of discussion amongst all of the participants because they have their own life experiences, and typically, someone will share, oh, this, I did this and this worked for me. And so they can kind of learn from each other as well.
So what
Yeah.
makes this program different from like a typical exercise or fitness class?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have that physical component with exercise, but I think a lot of it is that discussion amongst the class and learning the things they can change in their environment. So, there's one whole session where we go through a home safety checklist. And anyone that's had surgeries or, met with a physical therapist probably has done something similar where, when you go back to your home, maybe after that post surgery, you're looking at, do I have handrails? Do I have support in my bathroom? Things like that. So we're helping guide them through that checklist. So there's that component as well. We also have a whole nother lesson on assertiveness. And so, how do you not feel like you're being a burden when you ask for help? Because we find that a lot of older adults maybe don't reach out for help necessarily because they feel like, they're independent and they don't want to have to ask someone to come over to maybe lift something or move something for them or things like that. I mean, that's human nature, I think. Um,
Yeah.
so we talk about, what are ways that you could be more assertive so that you can help in that fall prevention piece and the importance of it.
So Kelsie, walk us through what a typical session looks like.
Yeah, so our first session is a lot of just that introduction. Here's what we're going to talk about. Here's the topics that we're going to cover. Um, we don't necessarily begin the exercise component until session 3. And that is because we really want to make sure that folks are ready for that. So we have, a questionnaire that kind of sees, are they ready for physical activity? And we encourage them to talk with their doctor, of course, prior to beginning that exercise. And they fill out a little survey to see what their readiness is for that. So we talk about that first. Then once we get to that session 3, we are doing a set of exercises every session from then on out. And so it's 2 hours each time. And so one hour is kind of focused on that physical activity piece, and then 1 hour is focused on whatever the topic is that we're discussing or things we're working on in the workbook and things like that. So it's kind of more of a class style atmosphere for half of it, and then physical activity for half of it.
I like
But
that
a lot
you.
of the, sorry,
No,
a
no,
lot of
go ahead.
a lot of the comments that we get after the class is that they love the socialization,
Yeah.
and that they get to meet with other people, kind of discuss common concerns, and feel like there's other people that feel this same way.
I like that the program addresses the emotional side first before it gets into the physical practicality
Hmm.
things of the program. Addressing fear and confidence and independence. That's so important, and you know, because I think even more so than the physical, uh, overcoming the mental part of falling is probably the biggest barrier.
Yeah, it can be. It really can be. And if folks, kind of get in that state of mind where, that I don't want to call it depression necessarily, but just feeling more down and not super positive, when that creeps in, we know, that can really take hold and make things worse. So we want to try to focus on what can we do, first of all, why is it important, and providing that support to get them there to see it themselves.
What an interesting program. You're watching the Your Health podcast. I'm Greg Allen, talking with Kelsie Jo Muller today. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, what you need to know before committing to the A Matter of Balance program. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Show your support for Indiana FFA by attending the Blue and Gold Gala. It's Saturday, February 28th at the Barn at Bay Horse Inn in Greenwood. The evening begins with a cocktail reception and silent auction at 5, dinner at 6, and a live auction to cap off the night. All proceeds benefit Indiana FFA. Join us as we support ag education and career development for Indiana's next generation of ag leaders. For more information and to reserve your seats, visit inffa.org.
And we're back with the Your Health podcast. We're talking today with Kelsie Jo Muller about the A Matter of Balance program. So Kelsie, let's get right back into it. What changes or improvements have you typically seen in participants of this program?
Well, sometimes people do come into the class thinking that it's just an exercise class sometimes. All of the advertisements say otherwise, but sometimes people just, focus on that piece. And so when they realize, oh, we're going to talk about some of these feelings that we have about the fear, I think sometimes people can feel a little bit uneasy at first with that.
Sure.
And once folks get to know each other a little bit better in the class, they start to open up about that a little bit more. But I think over that time, they kind of realize some of their own fears that maybe they were not realizing they had, realizing, oh, I do kind of limit my activity a little bit because of that. And so, for instance, an example, I said no to going to this game with my friends because I was afraid to be in the crowd, or I was afraid, I might slip and fall getting in and out of the facility or something like that. So I think it brings a lot of awareness to them to realize these things. And then also just how they can recognize if they have their own we call them faulty habits, FALLTY.
I see what you did there.
So, yeah. So we actually do call it that in the class. And so we kind of go through a checklist, do you do this regularly, or do you often do this? And so we talk about, those own habits that they might have on a day-to-day basis at their home or in their environment that they're in. And so they'll realize, oh, yeah, I should probably not do that. Or that is probably a very risky behavior that could cause a fall down the road. Maybe not today, physically where I'm at, but in 2 years, 5 years from now, that probably is something that I want to make an improvement in. So I think there's a lot of self-awareness that happens throughout the class, and also just confidence is the biggest thing, because they realize, oh, I can do something about this. I think a lot of times people, want to think, oh, I'm getting older and that's just how it's going to be. It's just the way it is. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. And so we really want to encourage folks that you can make these small improvements and adjustments that can make a big difference.
So you gave an example, and I'm sure it was a real world example of a problematic area. Do you have any memorable? Do you have any? I can't even say it. Do you have any? Do you have any? I'm going to totally cut this part out and edit this all together. Do you have?
I know what you mean.
Do you have anything that you can remember, success stories of that
Yes.
you can share of?
Yes,
different?
I do. There's one that really sticks in my mind, and it's because it's fairly recent as well, from a class last year, I believe. Um, and a couple of our educators that were in, I believe it was in Fountain County, so I do want to give a shout out to our educators. Um, Brock and Ashley, it was in their class, but they shared with me they had a participant who had this vacation or trip with friends, and I believe it was overseas. And she was very nervous about taking that trip and wasn't really sure that she was going to do it. And she told Ashley and Brock at the end of the class, "I'm going to take that trip. I
Nice.
know I can do this." So I think that was a huge success.
That's awesome. And that's
Yeah.
what it's all about, right?
hmm Yeah, for sure.
So,
Because that's all we want to do is improve quality of life. And if you're able to still do the things that you enjoy and that you want to do, I think that, definitely says a lot for the quality of life.
for sure. So, who's eligible to participate, and how can somebody get involved?
Yeah, so typically we have mostly 60 and older adults, participants in that age range, but there's not a hard and fast, like you have to be a certain age. We've had other people that, are in their 50s, and for whatever reason, their health situation, they just feel like I want to take the class because I do have some challenges with my balance, or I just want to do something proactively to prevent, which that's great because we are all about, the prevention piece. So,
Or they have issues shoveling their porch?
yeah, just any of those things. So it can be any older adult that feels, like this is something they would benefit from. Um, so that would be the who, just older adults. Sometimes we also have some folks that are caregivers, and so they attend with maybe their parent,
Hmm.
or whoever they're caregiving for, so that they're there for support for them as well. So sometimes we have folks that are there, not necessarily um, fully there for the purposes and objectives of the class, but they're there for supporting a caregiver or someone they're caregiving for.
Sure. And what do people need to know before they sign up, like time commitment, experience level? You touched on this a little bit, but can you
Yeah,
go into more
yeah.
specifics?
So there's 8 sessions that are 2 hours each. So, you know, 16 hours of your time is going to be committed to it. And it might be 4 weeks or it might be an 8 week series. And we do encourage, like I said in the first session, we go over, you should really talk to your doctor, make sure that you're ready for this physical activity piece of it. So we do ask that they, discuss that with their doctor if they haven't already. And um, we also have, do have a small fee for the class, but there are a lot of communities that had sponsorships support the class, and so the participants haven't necessarily had to pay that $25 fee. So that's been really great, to have those partnerships in the communities and have that support. So that decreases a barrier if somebody, can't pay that, or don't, or wouldn't take the class necessarily if they knew they had to pay for it. So we do have some support in different aspects of the state for that.
And you talked about caregivers or family members coming to the classes and supporting um, their loved ones. But how can like a professional or a community partner become a trained coach in this program?
Yeah, so we do provide trainings for community partners. Typically, you're working closely with your county extension educator in your community, and you can attend the training. The training is 6 hours long, and I facilitate that along with, I have a few other extension educators that are also called master trainers that we coordinate the trainings together. So community partners can attend that, and we just ask as they're trained that they partner with their local extension professional, in teaching the class together. But it does require two coaches or facilitators for each of the sessions. So that does help when you have a community partner that can teach with you, so that you can have more availability to offer the classes on a regular basis. So working with your local extension office, if if it's a community member interested in being trained, they would just go through them. We've been offering the coaches trainings about every 6 months. So that's kind of the offering that we have currently for that. And then after that, usually we do some follow-up, and we do a few Zoom calls quarterly just to provide updates or ask questions or review material for coaches so that they're ready to go and up to date on everything.
And I'm sure that checking with your local extension office is the way to find out all kinds of awesome information about this program and how to get involved.
Yeah, we have more information on our website, and there are many counties that are providing the program across the state. So more than likely someone nearby you is providing the program for sure.
Kelsie, in closing, what advice would you give to listeners looking to improve balance or to reduce the fall of risk in their daily lives?
I would just say it takes consistency, and that's something we all kind of learn, as far as the physical aspects. Once you stop moving and stop doing things, we lose the ability to do those things. And so I encourage folks to keep moving, keep trying to do what you can, and don't let that negativity sink in. Like, oh, I just can't do the things I used to do. That mentality, help just stay positive, keep moving, and do the best that you can.
I think I'm going to look into this for my mother. She seems to fall into the category that we were talking about right now. So,
yeah, I've had a lot of my own family members that I've
go through,
recruited to take the class too. So
that's awesome. Kelsie Jo Muller, thank you so much for joining us today. What a unique and interesting and very practical program that you're in charge of there. And so we thank you for the information today.
I appreciate the opportunity to share, and thank you so much.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of Your Health. A huge thank you to our guest, Kelsie Jo Muller, for sharing insight and inspiration around the A Matter of Balance program. And if you or someone you know could benefit from building confidence, improving stability, or taking steps towards safer, more independent living, this program is a great place to start. I know I'm going to try and get my mother to get involved in it. To learn more, connect with your local extension office, visit the Health and Human Sciences website, or explore opportunities to become a trained coach. As always, thanks for listening, and remember, stay active, staying balanced, and staying informed can make all the difference. We'll see you next time. I'm Greg Allen.